Ohio State 28, Texas 14. This was a really, really, really close game all the way down to the very end, Mason. And you kind of said it last week. You felt like this was kind of our de facto national championship game. You felt like whoever could come out of this game had a really, really good shot at going ahead and winning that national championship, barring some type of crazy injury or something of that sort. Um, I look, and kind of tying into what I was saying earlier this week about this game, I was impressed with Texas's ability to not have to bring the house and still control the run good enough to limit Ohio State. Now, that first drive, Ohio State goes down there and scores. They're able to run the ball a little bit. And then I felt like Texas really just kind of figured it out and really, really slowed Ohio State down and what they wanted to do. And kind of what I mean by that is we had watched Tennessee and Oregon play one-on-one against these wide receivers a ton in those two playoff games. Texas had ample men in the defensive backfield, it felt like the whole game, right? And it made things so much tougher for Ohio State. And so you got to tip your cap to Texas. I thought they defensively, I thought they played pretty well, not to mention the fact that in the second half, they really turned up the heat on Will Howard and were able to get after him. But Ohio State is the best team in the country right now, Mason, um, it just came to fruition by the end of the game. They outlasted Texas. Ended up getting that turnover there at the end of the game, running it all the way back for a touchdown as Texas was working their way down the field. This was just a really good football game. If this game was played 10 times, I think Ohio State probably wins it 6 or 7. But I do think Texas comes away with a few wins out of those 10. So I feel like this was a pretty good matchup. Texas offense just wasn't. It hasn't been good enough this season to get it done, Mason. It wasn't good enough here to get it done. Just over 300 yards total for the game. Not what you would expect from a veteran quarterback and a Steve Sarkisian led offense. Kudos to Ohio State. Really good defense as it's been all year. The offense was good enough. 28-14, they're going to the national championship. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, starting with Texas, I thought that the defense played really well. They gave up some passing yards, gave up some chunk plays. The one touchdown at the end of the game to Trevion Henderson. I mean, 75 yards and 7 points. You take that out of the game, which I know you can't do, but Texas looks, I mean, statistically, they look like the better team on paper. It ended up being really even as far as total yards and rushing yards and things like that. But you got to be, if you're a Texas fan, you got to be kicking yourself, thinking, guys, if we block that one play, if we tackle the running back on that one play, we might have won the game, right? If that play happens and everything else remains the same, or if that play doesn't happen, I should say, at the end of the game, Texas doesn't feel like they have to go for a touchdown. They can kick a field goal. So they don't get the 7 point swing there. Even if they did, even if they went for it, being greedy, going for 7, they're still in it. They're only down a touchdown at that point. Texas is with 2.5 minutes remaining in the game. So the offensive game plan would have been completely different. I mean, you can really look at that one play and think, yeah, that if that play goes differently, if you're a Texas fan, we could have won the game. That was the defining moment in that game for Texas. I thought Quinn played pretty good. I thought he had a good game. Seemed like nothing was really phasing him. The guy took some shots too, Mark. I mean, the Ohio
Very
State defense.
poised. I thought he was very
Yes,
calm and poised and collected.
he showed me that he's one tough son of a gun in this game. Not that I had my doubts, but you saw the one nearly first yard run that set up the fourth down where Arch Manning was able to convert the first down there and continue the drive for Texas. And he just took a lot of shots, 4 sacks in this game, including the last one, which was the scoop and score by his former roommate, Jack Sawyer. I mean, the Texas defense, though, it was on display. It showed up. It held this passing attack from from Ohio State to a pretty reasonable amount of total yards, 289. Again, 75 of those came from the one throw screen pass to the running back. Outside of that, it seemed like the defense was flying all over the field. Now, and the defense set Texas up to win this football game. The winner of the game, though, to me, was the Ohio State defense. Now, you want to talk about flying around the field. I haven't seen a team do it better than Ohio State this year defensively. They're the number one team on defense for a reason. Caleb Downs, that transfer move to get him is an absolute difference maker, and he he had some plays where he had the one tackle on Gunnar Helm, where Gunnar Helm got the personal foul, where I don't even know how he tackled the guy. He barely got a hand on his shoelaces, and somehow the 260 or 240-pound tight end goes down. But, Caleb Downs got exposed a little bit in this football game, but man, he made some good plays too. He more than made up for it on the toss sweep that at the end of the game that ended up being a 7-yard loss, where he comes in, recognizes what's going on, is kind of running the running back down and caused him to just swing it out further than he probably had to, and that ended up being the difference in the game. Realistically, you tackle them for a loss of 7 yards, and the game call the play call there completely changes the game. You had what, 4th and 1, and now you're at 4th and 8. I mean, completely different game plan at that point. But this Ohio State defense, look, senior laden. You got 10 of these 11 starters are going to go to the NFL, and the other starter that's not going to the NFL this year is Caleb Downs, and that's just because he's a true sophomore and might be the best player on the defense when it's all said and done. But 10 of these guys are going to either to the NFL or they've exhausted eligibility, and it showed. This looked like a really experienced group that knew what each other were doing, could read each other's minds, and they just played as a unit, and it was really stinking impressive. And then on the flip side, the Ohio State offense did just enough. I thought that the run game was pretty good going up against Texas. That's a tall order for any running game. But 24 rushes for 81 yards. I mean, you had to fight tooth and nail to get those yards, but there were a couple of pop plays from Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins that really just changed the outlook of the game. Got a couple of touchdowns on the ground, and ultimately, really just a solid performance by Ohio State in a game where Jeremiah Smith was completely covered up. Right, they did this without Jeremiah Smith, and I think that it's important to note that as well. But yeah, absolutely, Ohio State is the odds-on favorite. We're going to break that game down between them and Notre Dame here in just a minute, but they should be. Everybody who has eyeballs knows that Ohio State is the team to beat this year in college football, at least since the postseason started. And I think that they're in a really good position here going up against Notre Dame.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vegas thinks so too. As you said, we're going to break that one down here in just a minute. Congratulations to the Buck Nuts out there. I know that you guys are very, very excited. Three of the biggest wins in a little while here in a row, right, in succession for Ohio State, and I know the fan base is extremely excited. And you got to feel good. You got to feel good about your chances in that national championship. You just got to tip your cap to Jim Knowles, I think, and that hire was made 3 years ago now, right? And I feel like it's all come to fruition. I mean, and the defense wasn't the problem last year; that wasn't what held Ohio State back. But it's because of that defense that you're in this position again this year. I firmly believe that. And the offense's adaptability has been pretty impressive as well. Although, this is a decent Texas defense, right? This is a really good Texas defense. So you expected the offense to take a little bit of a step back in this game, and the defense just kind of picked up right where they left off and picked up that slack, and that's the reason they won the game for sure.